Oh, so my primary camera has failed me, and so I'm using this backup camera. Hopefully, you can still see what's going on the painting table, and I'll try and sort out a primary camera for next week. Anyway, today I'm going to be painting this little guy who's Rofu Gut Slicer from my D&D campaigns, printed from Hero Forge on my Saturn 2. I've retired my Saturn 2 these days, but it did do a pretty good job of printing this guy. I've got an array of shades here. I won't be using those for the most part. And I'm going to try and paint him in a reasonable colour scheme for a half-orc rogue. So hopefully you guys can follow on with the painting. I'll let you know what paints I use when I use them, because honestly, I'm not sure myself yet. But with Hero Forge, when you design your character, you design it in colour, and if I can find the, you probably get my face in shot. Try and find the web browser here. There we go. If I can find the colour scheme for him, I'm going to be using that as a basis for this. So, character is currently white entirely, but he's got, if you have a look at the detail on Hero Forge is actually pretty insane. It says 28mm. I really do think they're high quality art pieces, and when you've got a decent printer, it does it justice. I'm not sure if I'll print it on the Saturn 4. I don't think it's worth the uplift. I don't think it's a huge uplift from the Saturn 4 from the Saturn 2. But, you know, I'm going to be printing other people's models at some point. So I'll go through those. So firstly, I'm going to go to Hero Forge. We've been here for yonks. Hopefully my character still exists on there. Have a login. I hope so. Apparently I previously used it, so let's try. Previous heroes. Pretty sure I saved these guys somewhere. Can't empty heroes. Heroes. I've got a few on there. So Rofu is one of them. I don't know his colour scheme. Cool. So I have some water in front of me. I have some paints. I think I'm going to go dark shades first. I've got a nice red here. I'm going to do red for his chest. He's got leather trousers on. We've obviously got wood as the base, which I'll probably do some dry brushing for. I do have my big crate O paints here, which I'm going to just hopefully have the right paints for. Is that red? A dark red. That's a better red for his top, I think. I do love this smell of paint. Probably shouldn't, but I do like it. Mahogany looks like a good colour. I have whole red, which might be a good alternative. We used whole red for his trousers. And then for the leather pieces, probably going to use not copper. Let's not use copper. Seems like a mistake to use copper. Possibly orange brown. It's not my favourite, but we've got saddle brown, which might be a good point of colour. We'll have a play with it. So I'm not going to get too many colours out at once because it all dry out and it go horribly wrong. But yeah, we'll see what we can do. So again, apologies for the camera, temporary camera until I get a better position. I do have some good cameras around. Can't use any of them because things aren't really aligned very well on my mounting solution. So currently mounted on my monitor. Hopefully I'll get an overhead shot next week. If not, I'll see when I can sort that out for you guys. yeah, I've moved my painting around because my son now has the room that I was using for paint, so I can no longer use that, which is fantastic, as you can imagine. Let's have a look for a nice brush. This is when you know you've spent far too much money on brushes, when you have this many in a pot. Don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah, I have far too many in a pot. And then you can't choose one. You end up choosing one of your cheap brushes. I don't want to go too small. I go for my Raphael one, I think, which is probably a bit on the small side anyway. Doesn't have a lovely point anymore. It's getting a bit ragged, but hey. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to do his trousers. I'm going to do those in whole red. Give it a good shake. I do have a vortex shaker, but again, it's not here. I'll try and clear this whole desk space so I can get a bit more painting done. And you can see, did a terrible job of mixing that because it's still very watery. Get some water in here and just mix it around a bit and see where we can go. So it's still a bit separated. Just realised I don't have any blue cloth or anything that could help us. Dragon is supposed to be joining us for this painting session, but I think he might have forgotten about it. It's forgotten about us, guys. Right, so we've got the belt area here. So we're going to do below the belt area. So from here down. Just slap a bit of colour on there. Not too worried about going over some of the buckles. So we're going to go capture that later on. Really trying to get the broad strokes of colours in, and we can start playing around with him in a bit more detail afterwards. It's the hope anyway, because there's quite a lot of straps going on here, and yeah, we can go over those. So we're going to do it in whole red, which is quite a dark brown, as you can probably see. I don't know if you can see that, but it's quite a dark brown. We're going to do that, and I would say we kind of want to go a shade darker for his boots. So let's try and get some colour on this guy and see where we get to that. So yeah, as I said, splash a bit of colour on. Not too worried about going over the lines at this point. I'm doing this so I'm on camera, so it's away from where I actually would ideally be viewing this. That's okay. Just broad strokes for now. He doesn't have, although he has green skin, doesn't have a whole lot of green on this model. So just laying down. It's pretty much all of his bottom half is brown anyway, so it doesn't really matter if it's this brown or another brown. I will brighten up the other browns as we go on. The only bit that isn't brown would be things like the belt buckle. Could have really done this with a bigger brush. It's fine. I've got far too much green belts, but again, that's okay. I do have my dry brush set all ready to go. Probably not going to use it. You can probably see I'm actually on a monitor here. This is my graphics tablet, and I will at some point paint a car on here for you guys. do a lot of painting for iRacing. What am I doing? Hey, is it Madity? I'm painting a Dungeons and Dragons model. So this is for my D&D campaign. Currently painting his trousers in model color brown. It's basically cornhole red, but it's a brown. Just gonna paint his trousers up. I've got this 3D printed. I printed it myself. Thought I'd give it a bit of a paint job. Camera's a bit naff, unfortunately, because I had to. My camera wasn't working. I had it overhead. It was looking great, but it was basically just freeze framed and hopeless. So I decided to deal with this crappy camera instead for now, until I sort out a new one next week. Got cameras, can't actually mount them properly, so I shall sort that out. I'm just like basically broad stroking the trousers. I don't really care if I'm going over some of the details. When I'm finished, I'll give you guys a close up. But yeah, essentially going over. Camera's not very good at focusing, but if it ever focuses, come on, camera. There we go. So you can see I'm just doing his trousers right now. It's quite fun, like designing the characters. So this one was designed on a tool called Hero Forge, which it's got this nice little 3D editor that you can play around with and make your own model, and then you can download that model, and then if you have a 3D printer, print it yourself. And it's kind of cool that you're going through this whole process of designing a character, printing it out, and now I'm painting it. You been up to much today, mate? You do any painting yourself? I do play Warhammer, yeah. I do, yeah. Mostly things like Necromunda, but yeah, I kind of want to get into a 40k campaign at some point. It's just getting the time, honestly. And my pile of shame on my paint queue is so deep, it's kind of scary. I've got a few gaps here, so I'm just going over where I've missed bits. As I don't really care if I've gone over the lines a bit, because I'm going to cover those up later. But one thing I don't like about this Vallejo paint is it tends to be on the shiny side. I have to find myself some cloth. Give me 1 second. Ugh. I didn't get anything to wipe dry my paintbrush. But luckily, my 3D printer is right next to me. I think some of their paints can be. I think. I don't want to be too harsh, but a lot of paint brands can be very inconsistent. I think Vallejo is one of them. They have some amazing paints, but they also have some pretty terrible ones too. Like there are very few brands I know that do good white paint, and it's so annoying. So I'm going to try dark vermilion red. So I'm going to do this red for his tunic. And then I'm going to go over those with whatever I can dig up for the other browns. I did have a mahogany somewhere, but I don't know where I put it. Oh, so right next to my mug. Let's see how watery this comes out, because I haven't been able to shake these very well. Okay, that's not too bad. You can see I had a bit of an accident on the pad. There's far too much paint here. Water. Just going to thin these a little. What paint do you use? I'm not actually the DM. My DM was going to join me on Discord, but he's busy today. Yeah, I was just part of the group, and I happened to be the one with the 3D printer, so I 3D printed everyone's characters, which is kind of cool. Do you do much Warhammer painting yourself? Oh yeah, nice. Are you using their new speed paint range? Cool. How do you find them? Because they did seem to have a bit of a problem with getting them out to market. They did a V2 pretty quickly. Tad watery. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I've got this tendency to buy a lot of paints. You don't need many paints, honestly. Uh, yeah, I guess it's going to be hard to get them. You want to get a full paint range without spending a huge fortune on it. I've built mine up over the last few years, and honestly, I don't do as much painting as I would like. I'm not too worried about going over these straps because this will be brown anyway. If it's the other way around, it might be a problem, but because they're brown, just want to get it painted. Hopefully I don't do too bad a job. Might have to give these a couple of coats because I can see through here. This tunic goes pretty high to his neck. You can't see on stream, but the shoulder pads, they have a little you can see lines on them from where it's printed, but it's very difficult to see even with the naked eye. Probably see it better on camera than you would your eyes, to be fair. Yeah, I tend to try and mix up a lot of paints too because no one can afford to have 700 paints. You need to have a good selection that you can then mix, and then I think that's probably your best approach, so you don't spend a massive amount of money on it. This is an expensive hobby as it is, especially if you're getting all these Warhammer models, which cost a small fortune, let's face it, for what is tiny little plastic men. It's part of the reason why I got a 3D printer was so I could maybe cheap out a little bit and make my own. I don't think it's as cost effective as I had imagined, but it's a fun exercise. And as I keep telling my wife, my hobby is collecting hobbies. It's learning how to do things. Once I learn how to do those things, I move on to the next hobby. Yeah, he's thankfully very supportive. Thanks for joining me on stream today, by the way. So I used to stream a long time ago, and I moved to my YouTube channel, so I got a sim racing YouTube channel, but I just found that I was I kind of got not bored with doing the sim racing, but I wanted to do something else. I wanted another outlet for my content, and I can't really do that on my YouTube channel because it would just be sim racing related, or it would just dilute the audience. So I thought, let's start back up with Twitch. Talk to some people, and it's quite nice to have a bit of a chat while you're painting, because I don't find that sitting down and painting can sometimes it can be therapeutic, but it's hard to get at the table. It's hard to motivate myself to get to the table all the time. So I've got Teckles streams on YouTube, but also Teckles does sim racing. You might sense a theme coming up. It's just used to be my gaming tag in like TFC back in the day, and just stuck. Got about 1,500 subs on YouTube, so it's a reasonable sized channel. It's mostly a talk about sim racing hardware and the like. Of course, because it's that, I didn't feel like I could do things like painting on there. Just felt like the wrong place. I've got the Hero Forge Mini in front of me here, and I've got it on screen over there, just so I can kind of look at what I'm doing. See if I can share that with you. Kind of want to do a partial screen capture. I don't know if it'll let me do that. Let me just play around with this a sec, because you can see what I am trying to create. So if I do at a window capture. Yeah, that's the window I want to capture, and then just crop it a little bit if I can. You'll see what I'm trying to do in a sec. I'm trying to get you a view of this character. Make the stream a little better for you. Also, I tinker too much. So if I get rid of that, okay, that's not it. Do I want to capture cursor? I don't think it hurts for you to see the whole window. There you go. Let's just transition that on. So you can see this is the character that I printed. So you can obviously see in a lot more detail on the PC. Okay, yeah, fair. I'll sort that out. Thanks for letting me know. I shall have to fix that. So yeah, painting is back. You can see generally I'm just going for that colour scheme right now. Just getting down some base colours, and then I'll work from there. So once I get some shades on here, that should help with the darkening down this red, because this red is quite bright and vibrant, but it's kind of like the darkest red I have, which is annoying. But I could add some black. I just didn't want to reduce the vibrancy of that color just yet, because it helps me to see where I'm placing that content, that color. Is that the follows extension on Twitch, or is that on one of my sim racing streams? Did stream last week. Okay. I have. It's probably because I haven't looked at this for God knows how long. It was like 4 years ago. I streamed yesterday because I was just playing the new Valve game, the new MOBA. Just thought I'd give it a try. My microphone wasn't very loud on that, so I need to sort out that. But yeah, that looks interesting. Colour everywhere, I think, including on my hands, on his hands. This is my usual messy approach. The paints do end up in the right place. Oh, nice. Thanks, man. I generally paint on a Wednesday. I do some gaming and stuff on other days. I have a plan to do like a Halloween themed thing with my brother later on, which should be kind of cool. Are you familiar with any games like Phasmophobia? Because I was going to play that in VR, which sounds horrific. VR horror game. What could go wrong? Yeah. It's kind of a game where you're exploring a haunted location, and you go as a group of people, and you're all seeing and looking for different things, and it can go sideways pretty quickly. But I figure that in VR could be kind of fun to do. Probably a bit scary for me, but hey, that's part of the fun. Maybe. I won't be saying that at the time. I think I don't see any parts I've missed. Maybe in that little buckle area there. There's a little bit in between his shoulder, shoulder blades. The thing is like an ammo belt. You've got the round ring, and then in the middle of that, I think that should be red. I think that's his arm. I've missed his arm. And it helps. So I think that's supposed to be brown at the end. So I will have to change that. Let's get it red, and I shall do some detail afterwards. Oh, drop the mini, because that's never a problem when you drop it on the palette. So you're hoping to try and get some painting done later in the year, or are you going to just wait and see? Maybe get some Black Friday deals on paint if it's available. So I kind of started out with, I think everyone does who's a Warhammer painter. You start out with things like Citadel paints, but those things cost a fortune. And the pots are terrible. Like these pots are just awful. But I don't waste paint, so it's still here until I finish it off. I think some of the colours are amazing. They're just way too expensive. So I don't know what the equivalent would probably be about €3 for this pot. It's lead belcher, great colour. Just don't like the implementation. Okay, so I've got that on. I wanted to do. I don't want to do the leather just yet. I need to think. I think I need to introduce a white to try and brighten up the brown, or maybe mix it with this orange brown that I have to do a leather. I think boots want to be a darker brown than I've used for the trousers, and I've got the light brown, almost a reddish brown for the wood. I need to try and sort that out. I really need to have shaken these up front, I think. €5? Man, that's so expensive. Yeah, so even 10 paints, that's €50. That's so much money. got this brown here. I think that's possibly a good base for a wood. But if I use some of this, we can maybe brighten it up a little. It's not mixing well. Yeah, I don't like that. That's a horrible colour. Right, let's find something else I can use. What do I have? I have a lot of browns, actually. I shouldn't have problems with trying to find a brown that I like. It's the other colours. The army painting tends to involve a lot of browns. I've got a cavalry brown, which is quite reddish, but I don't really want that. Copper's no good. Cork might be okay. English uniform is... Seriously? We wear uniforms that colour? Nice, I guess. I've got mahogany, but it's a airbrush paint because I do a bit of airbrushing as well. Not sure that's going to work well, but... And I've got beastly brown, so let's try those. I think beastly brown might be a good brown for the leather. Still haven't found a brown I want for the wood. I'm still shocked at €5. It's probably because I got this complete Vallejo chest for about 60, 70 euros because I got it on Black Friday sale. So this is... That's a lot of paints. Let me just recount that. Yeah, 80 paints. I don't think it was completely full. Yeah, I've got a cheap compressor that I got off of Amazon, but the airbrush, I can dig that out for you. Ugh. So I got the Iwata Eclipse HPCS. A beautiful airbrush, really is. So expensive new, got it second hand, cleaned it up, good as new. All of the seals were fine, and I basically saved myself half the price of this thing. I think they're about 120 quid, probably 160 euros new, which is a lot of money, especially for something when you're just doing it casually. But it just saves so much time. I've been putting these base colours on. If this was a bigger mini, I would have just done that with an airbrush because it takes seconds versus... how long have I been talking now? Probably about half an hour. Right, so beastly brown is going to be my leather colour. Ooh, really? That does not look pretty. I suppose it's beastly. Orange brown. Let's see what that looks like. It is a very good airbrush, it really is. I think it's going to be some combination of beastly and orange brown. Which are very similar browns, but beastly's a bit too... Yeah, that's not too bad. Beastly's a bit too beastly for my liking. I'll see how this goes on because, of course, once you've got shades on it, maybe do a bit of a edge highlight, it's probably going to be fine. But yeah, we can make mistakes and we can backtrack on it if we need to. Yeah, get a bit of colour on that. Yeah, so if I can get a better camera, you'll be able to see what I'm painting. It will make life a little bit more pleasurable on the stream. See what I'm at least aiming for. I'm probably going to fail by a long shot, but hey, that's what painting's about. Trial and error. I believe this pauldron should be edge highlighted in brown because it's got a like a leather trim. I don't mind going on the inside of it, but not the outside because I've done the base color for the red. It's probably a bit of a light brown for the leather, but I can work on that. I can work with this. So this is a Raphael brush. I do have some nice brushes. I think these ones are pretty decent. I kickstarted a bunch of this one's a terrible example of it, but I kickstarted a bunch of brushes. The wolf hair brushes from, I think they're from New Zealand or Australia or something. So it took a while for them to come here, and they were cheap, but shipping was expensive. But they're pretty decent. I have to do a couple of layers of this brown because it's quite thin. You can see the red through it where I've gone over the lines. Again, that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm a terrible slow painter. I'd say the Raphael brushes are probably my favourite. I went through the whole Winsor and Newton. Winsor and Newton. I forget what the company's called. I had a lot of Citadel brushes, Vallejo brushes. Yeah, I think Raphael are probably my favourite. They're the most consistent. Oh man, too many other hobbies. So I think obviously the sim racing and the painting and the board gaming and the war gaming and D&D. So if you think of those all separately, I've got those. Do a bit of like PC gaming. I do 3D arts. It's again part of my. It complements the same hobby, right? So my 3D artwork, I can print and I can paint, so it goes with that, and I can then design stuff for my my board games, which they all complement each other. I do a bit of cycling, stuff like that as well. I'm a martial artist. Just a few things. So I'm using what I'm using for my leather as a base brown, and I'm going to go off of the beaten track for the leather and for the wood. So they're both kind of have this yellowy brown as the base, and then they will have a little bit of a hue change afterwards. Currently Taekwondo, kind of old school Taekwondo. Do WT Taekwondo. How about yourself? You do any martial arts? Oh, nice. Yeah, quite a lot of similarities between karate and taekwondo. So the school I do, something similar to Tang Sodu, which is like Korean karate. But that's where my school originates from, my master. So yeah, there's quite a lot of crossover. It's obviously slightly different kicks, slightly different punches, slightly different blocks, but yeah, kind of cool. I would like to do some karate at some point, but then I've also screwed up my knee, so I'm not doing much of anything right now. I'm just I do one class a week, just to tick over until I'm healed up. I'm very much a believer in like the whole body and mind experience. That if you don't look after your body and you don't exercise it in the right way, then why do you think your mind is going to be in the right shape? Body, mind, and soul, and all that. So you say you did karate. Is that like past tense then? Do you think you go back? I think his hand needs to. Oh, look. Yeah. Okay. Just trying to see because I can't see on the model how much of that should be painted. So it's really nice to be able to reference the 3D model. Yeah, a lot of my class, a lot of the students that go, they kind of started as kids. They might have started in a different discipline. They might have done like karate or judo or something, and then they've kind of gone off. They've done university, whatever else they needed to do in their lives, and then they kind of come back, which I think is kind of cool. A few people that are lifers that just essentially will do their martial arts forever, but yeah, not everyone. I probably shouldn't be doing these detail pieces just yet because I can see missing bits on the red. Now it's dry. Okay, so I've got a few more leather pieces to do, but I want to try and get something on the boots and I want to get the green on. I want to try and get all of the basing done before I run away tonight. So thinking maybe go for the dark green for his skin. Though I've kind of gone for when I was designing him, I did this yellow green. So I might be able to just mix something to try and give him the hue that I want. I'll be honest, I have no clue what that means. You mean like the anime? Oh, nice. Haven't watched it. I'll put it on my watch list. I do like anime and I watch quite a lot of it, but I have not watched that. So I'll put that on there. Thanks for reminding me that I should watch more. Last thing I watched was Attack of the Titans, but yeah, need to broaden my horizons a little bit. Right, so I've got gold. Kind of a little bit annoyed that I don't have a brown that fits those. Let's do mahogany. It might be a bit thin because this is an airbrush paint. Oh, Cowboy Bebop. That is amazing. I didn't like the. I thought the live action was okay, but it's just it's weak. The original Cowboy Bebop was phenomenal. Right. How is this going to go on? Thinly. Yeah. Actually, that might work as a wood colour, you know. You a big anime fan? Thinking mahogany in that thin state might be a great coverage for the wood. So I'm going to get out one of the big boys and give that a go. I'm going to ask that immortal question. Do you watch it subbed or dubbed? Cool. Yeah, I think when I was younger, I would more often pick subbed. But honestly, I prefer some of the dubbed voices. This brush is terrible. I don't like this brush. After the thing, I thought those brushes were pretty decent. It's not keeping enough of the paint color in there. That's much better. Just see how much better the flow is on that brush compared to the other one. The only difference was the brush. Yeah, for me, I have to be in the mood to watch anime. I'm a big fan, but it's not something I can watch every day. It's like one of those things that I pick up when I'm in the mood. To make a mess over everything, including my hands. It's such a thin paint that I'm kind of just trying to keep them mini on the table so I can get some paint on there. It's a little streaky, but actually that kind of works because it's wood grain. Just trying to get into the back where the gold stack is not easy with a big brush. To be honest, I'm worried that I'm going to break the mini. The one disadvantage with 3D prints that it's not like ABS or whatever where the plastic is very strong. This has got a chance that it will snap. I put a mixture of something called Tenacious in there, which is supposed to help with that, make it more ABS like, but it's still a worry. It's a bit of a concern. I would be a bit annoyed with myself if I snapped the model after starting painting it. Got a little bit more to do there. So that's that done. Okay, that's okay, I think. I don't know if it's fully covered. But yeah, this brown, I thought it was a darker brown than it was. It comes out a lot lighter, probably because of how thin it is. If you have a look at that in the bottle, it's way darker than the brown that I used. I don't know if you can see that actually. That's mahogany and that's whole red. So that's what I used on the trousers. But mahogany looks darker. But yet, on the model, the trousers, find the camera, the trousers look darker than the wood base. Okay, starting to get some colour. I do need to do some more detail work. I need to get some white for the bow. I want to do some green skin. I'm terrible. I kind of don't. I'm not very good at focusing on one thing. I want to do this now. I think lime might be a good sub in for that. I still need to find. I think maybe I'm going to have to add some black to one of the browns in order to get the boot color. I think I can. Black. That's black. I don't know what brick that color is. It's a glaze. Too many colors. Freedom from choice is what you need, because then it's the mother of invention. I'm a software engineer, mate. How about yourself? Software engineer by trade. That gives me the pennies that I need to go and then buy all this junk. As my wife starts rolling her eyes. So I don't want to get too much black in there because I want this to be still a brown. Oh, that's dried out horribly. Let's try. Get rid of that lump of my brush. Don't like it. Go away. Various things. Mostly like back-end systems and nothing graphical. Middleware for the most part. In a variety of languages. Sometimes. Honestly, it's like every job. It's not necessarily the work or the job that's what makes it worth going in. It's more your colleagues, people you work with. If you enjoy working with those people, then you enjoy your job. Yeah, it's one of those things. When I first started, I kind of felt like I didn't like working with people, so I wanted to work with machines. I think my outlook has matured as I've progressed in my career. I do actually see that it's mostly about communication now. It's mostly really about talking. So either to machines or to people. This is looking not much darker than the base color. Might have to brighten up the leggings, in fact. Yes, might come across as wise, but I think it's just trial and error. I've made plenty of mistakes in my career, and my outlook and the way that I think about people and things, and I've as long as you learn those lessons along the way, I think it's fine. Conscious that I'm so close to the palette now, but I'm probably just going to end up putting paint all over my arm. I was hoping to finish this guy today, but I think I underestimated how much I've actually got to do with him. Because it's like when you're painting an army, you're going to paint an army usually in a limited set of colours because you want to get the whole army ready. You've got to batch paint. Whereas when you're doing one mini, you can have fun with it, but that fun takes time. And I'm having far too much fun with this guy. Painting it in like 4 different shades of brown just for the bottom. Okay. think that's covered. I know I missed some on the red, so I've got to go back to that. So it's just there's a little bit here. Gonna have to get him close up because I can't see it very well. Yeah, there we go. Covered his boot because his boot wasn't painted properly. Let me do the other side. I have to start getting a magnifier out for this because I'm painting like so far away from me now. But that should be rectified when I get the camera mount, because right now I've had to put the camera so far away from where I'm actually able to paint that I've brought the model over to you so you can see it in a bit more detail. Whereas if the camera is literally there above the model, so with the model this close to you, I'll be able to have it closer to me at the same time as you guys seeing a bit more of what's actually going on. So I think with the things like the leggings and the boots, because it's such a dark brown, I'm going to do a lighter brown trim on him, as you can see on the model I've got in front of me here. He's got quite a light brown trim around his feet. So when I do that, that should bring out some of that detail, but the boots are going to be so dark that on the table you're not even going to notice it that much. So I'll probably have to do a bit of dry brushing just to lighten it up a bit, just so you can see some of that relief. So I've got to use a bit of artistic license. To bring it back to myself again, 1 second. Just there's a tricky bit on the inside that if I don't bring him over, I'm not going to be able to see it at all. I'm just doing that now, and then yeah, there we go. Should give us good coverage on his boots. And we've got his sack of gold. I wanted my thief to have a sack of gold. Got gold bars behind him, sack of gold in front. You know what his intentions are. He is taking your loot. Yeah, the more gold, the better. I've just picked the wrong brown. I think his eyes are going to be tricky. I don't think I'm going to get that yellow ring around them. Yeah, I suppose he's got that sword out. If you're close enough to get to his gold, you're close enough to get stuck with the sword. What am I looking for? So I've got his hands. I need that mahogany. His menacing grimace should put people off. If you've got a party of thieves, you're probably in trouble anyway. A couple of bits that I missed when I painted the wood, so just going over that now. Yeah. I love how that wood grain comes out on here. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Ooh, find the camera. Can you see that? Does the camera even focus? So when I do a dry brush on that, that should really bring out that detail. So I'll do a shade over that. So like a Null Oil, maybe some Agrax as well. So I've got plenty of those. I've got Agrax here. And then that should really bring out those details. Also got these cool golds that I'm going to start using. So sword is all metal, so I'm going to lead belcher all that over. I'll get some block colours out there, but I'm going to go green first. Thinking mixture of lime. Please, let's go flat. He does need focus. Oh, what the hell is that? You see how thin that paint was? Yeah, he does kind of focus on the camera, yeah. What the hell? Okay. To be fair, I only wanted the colour anyway, so the fact that it come out like water, okay, I can deal with that. I probably didn't shake it enough, but that is too much. So let's see how that goes. The only problem I find, yeah, it's 90. I think it's like 95%. Well, that was ridiculous. It's got to be I haven't shaken it up enough. Some of these are a bit like that. They have been sat for a while, and I do have a vortex like shaker upstairs, but my son's taken over my painting studio, so I've had to improvise here for now. Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I like about acrylic paints, that they're almost like, oh yeah, I'm father of three, mate. I like watercolors because they're of their consistency and they've got good coverage. And I like oils because of how thick and textured they are. But I think you get all of those qualities from acrylic paints. Ooh, that's very, very bright green. He's got scary. He's got a luminous green skin. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to tone that down, but man, that's bright. Yes, yeah, they can do. I do normally use a wet palette, but I don't know if you can tell, but this desk is slightly tilted because this is I've got a graphics tablet under here. So this is where I do like my graphic work, and they can do, yeah, they should. I draw, yeah. I have a bazillion hobbies, so I do a little bit of. It's mostly right now painting cars for my sim racing. So I do the textures and stuff like that. But when I was at school, I used to do a lot of 2D artwork, and these things are amazing. I can send you a link to my. So my paint shop for trading paints. This is where the color schemes for cars is here. I'll just send you the link. But basically, this is where I've just done some painting of cars and had a bit of fun. I haven't done many. And then I've got my other stuff, but yeah. My 2D, like I used to have a DeviantArt account, but like tech. Oh, can't even remember what it is. But anyway, I had a DeviantArt account where I did a lot of like 2D stuff. I used to be really into Dragon Ball Z and drew Goku and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. So, what kind of things do you draw? Those are 3D models, yeah. So I'm painting the skins for the 3D models. Oh, nice. Very cool. Especially like the shading work on the ant. That's pretty awesome. You're much more prolific than me. I still have my DeviantArt account. Oh yeah, there's nothing on it. uh, yeah, I just picked up a lot of hobbies on the way. Life made me pick up hobbies. I think the difficulty now is actually getting time to do those things, but I got my kids involved, so they do model painting with me and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Just trying to find. Oh, that's become funny now. Trying to get the detail on his hands. Think. Oh, there we go. Missed completely. I was trying to paint his hand, and I completely missed. I know I was off camera. I was like trying to work out what I was painting, mate. Uh, I was trying to get into the cross guard on the sword. I just could not see his fingertips. Oh, it's so hard. Could have looked on the model, but yeah. So I'm doing the bow hand now, which looks like it's got a thumb across there. Ugh, these paints are drying out already. Wish I had my wet palette. It just feels like you waste so much paint when when it just dries out on your palette. And I've got this habit of I think a lot of painters do. I use my thumb to just try and see what the consistency is like of the paint, and then if I don't like it, go add a bit of water. But it just means I get this weird looking thumb. Fingertips done. And then he's got his little thumb in here. Give him a bit of green. Probably bodge that in there. We should be just a bit of red there. All things trying to slide off. How are we doing for time? Probably give it another 20 minutes before I have to call it. This is going to have to be a two-parter. I haven't even got the base colours on yet. I'm just terrible. Procrastinating far too much. There we go. It did. In my defence, it took me a while to try and sort out my camera problems. Otherwise, I would have started this a bit earlier. Let's go straight over your head. Get a bit of green on there. He does have this little beard here, so I'll darken that up later. Yeah. Like I said, slow painter, mate. This is why I got an airbrush. It speeds me up. Too bad. Because that should be leather. Obviously, you're not going to paint his hair because that needs to be black. Oh, green skin! It's only taken me an hour and a half to get green skin. Yeah. So we got some of that on there. I've got a few little dabs. I think unfortunately this red is dried out completely. So I probably have to get a little bit more. Black is like a tan colour, but I think I can use cork brown for that. I need a little bit of red for touch up. But you can probably see that the skin right now is quite bright. If I can get that to focus. That is intentional because once I get a shade on there and start dry brushing it, it's going to darken it. It's not going to be quite as vibrant as that. Okay. Painting, as Bob Ross always used to say, it's happy little accidents. I definitely have a few of those. Okay. So I've found that I missed under the armpits, so I'm just doing those now. And that's there. Don't want to do the leather just yet, but I will. I normally wouldn't do metals just yet, but what I want to do is get everything based today. So let's go for it. First of all, I'm going to do the gold satchel in this cork brown, which looks like a good fit for the little sack down there. I've done the thing of let's get lots of paints on here. Now I've got to try and remember what paints I've used for the next session. This looks like it needs a bit of thinning. I tend to judge whether the consistency is right by how it falls on the farm. If it's streaky, it needs a bit more water. It's easy to do. So when I started painting, you hear a lot of people talking about it's got to be the consistency of milk. I don't know what that looks like. I don't usually pour milk on the floor to see what it looks like. I just kind of like have it in my drinks or my breakfast or something. I used to watch something called Painters Guild, and like every episode they talked about that. Paint's got to be the consistency of milk. Okay, can you name another fluid that it should have the consistency of? So I think all of these are gold. There's a little silver bit in there. Like, can I be bothered to make that bit silver and just the rest of it gold, or should I do it all gold? Is anyone going to know except people that look at my model on screen? I like this colour. It's worked very well for the Sacco Gold. Yeah, finally, a colour I actually think works well for the thing I'm trying to paint. Nice. So, got that done. I don't like the leather colour, so I'm going to have to go over that again. The trousers are a little bit dark, but I can live with that. Once I get a like a satin varnish over it or something, it should not be shiny. Because Vallejo, again, both Vallejo paints on here. One, I don't know if you can see that on there. Trousers, super glossy. Shirt, matte. I mean, it's so hard to get consistency in paints. Right, so I'm gonna. I've got to find a leather that I'm happy with. So that's going to be my next challenge. I think this might even warrant going and disturbing my son, just so I can get a colour that I enjoy. Cavalry Brown that might be a good one. That might be a better one for leather. So I don't mind the bow being this light colour because I can work on darkening that up. But the other leather, this looks red, but I need to shake that. I need to shake that one more. I have no idea what the hell just came out of this pot, but it's not the colour that I see here. That's the colour it should be, and it's come out this horrible pink. Anyway, that's more like it. So that is, it's kind of a bit more red than the whole red. That looks like a nice colour. Just, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm checking that on my phone to see what it looks like on the model, or what I'm hoping it look like on the model. So if I do that on the leather, yeah, that works better. That's a better colour. It's going to reduce the contrast between the red and the leather, but that's okay because I can add some highlights on that. And then this other piece is actually another bit of leather that goes down. I completely missed the first time I painted red. And we've got a piece that goes across. Yeah, that works. It's not always easy to get the paint scheme right first time. Sometimes harder when you've got a reference model because you kind of start trying to copy the reference model rather than just going your own way. Send you down some blind alleys. And it goes down to the belt. I don't know if you've noticed it, but on like Warhammer models, sometimes it's hard to work out because the details are so intricate on them. It's really hard sometimes to try and work out what part is what. So you're painting something, You realise halfway through painting it that it should have been another colour. No, it's got a reasonable contrast against the red. I think the frustrating thing is if I don't get this finished today, which I know I won't, then I've got to wait practically a week before I can paint any more on it because of my sim racing channel. I think if I edge highlight the leather in one of the lighter colours I was using earlier, that will really bring out the detail on this leather. Just give it a bit of a brush over. So I'd normally want to do that with like a dry brush or something, but I think if I do that, then it's just going to end up hitting the red, and I don't want to hit the red. So that's lots of brush work, which is going to take a long time. So it's like the neckerchief piece, which is leather, almost like a collar, but I'm not sure what it is. We've got this here. Nice. Getting happier with this model. Normally start off fairly unhappy with how the paint job is going and slowly almost get Stockholm syndrome on. It's starting to look like it's okay now. The problem is as soon as you start blocking out new bits of colour, you realise that you didn't quite get to the edge of the other colour. So you've got to go back over that. But that's okay. That's why sometimes it's good if you prime and black, it's a lot more forgiving. You miss bits, no one can see it. It's all good, especially if it's just for the table. Prime it in white or a light grey. Yes, you get the vibrancy of the colour, but then you've got to try and cover that damn stuff, and it doesn't always cover well. My personal pet hate is trying to block out a colour of yellow or something. Yellow seems to have the worst coverage of anything. So that's supposed to be leather. Kind of done with the front. There's the little silver ring, and I've got the. Let me do the pauldrons before I forget. Leather trim around these. Yeah, I've um, I've got this game called Cthulhu Wars, and the models are huge on it. And one of them is almost entirely yellow. This is why I have an airbrush. Because I tried to brush paint yellow and it looked so bad. I kind of just like, that's it. I can't do this anymore. I need to get myself an airbrush. And honestly, covered straight away, and it was pretty decent. So I've still got to finish those. I've got like I said, I've got a painting queue a mile long. Just I thought I wanted to try and paint this guy because it's supposed to be starting a D&D campaign soon, and I've got an unpainted mini that I'm using. So get some paint on him. Quite a lot of this leather that I'm putting on. It's got, oh, that looks like the same tan colour. Okay, that works. I can do that. The only problem with having a day job is I've got to be in the office tomorrow, so I can't paint until I go to bed. I have to get ready for the office. When it flows well, I like that. It's when you, in the cold light of day, you notice that you go over the lines. That bugs me. Really missed, yeah. It's got these little ammo pouches. Can I get them with the brush? It's where you hold your breath. Hope that you actually hit the right parts of the model. I think there's one under his bow, which I'm not even sure I can get to. I'm going to have to get right up close to see. I think I've got that. Ooh, stressful. Okay, so that's done. I need to just do the leather surround on here. Trying to work a bit quicker because I know those paints are going to dry out. And I've wasted more paint that it cost $5 to go and get a replacement for. Yeah, Vallejo's not quite that expensive, thankfully, but still money. Okay, yeah, that's cool. How long are your breaks? There's little packs on his shoulder. Oh, awesome. You got the whole day off. Is that for like study? 3 days. Oof. Wish I had 3 days off. Back when I was at school, I was terrible. I wouldn't do any school work on those days off. Not moving. Yeah. Pretty much would do the same thing. I sometimes feel a bit of a hypocrite with my own kids. With it's like, yeah, go do your schoolwork, and I'm thinking I never would have done that. Okay. Yeah. See again, a little bit more red that's missed. Now I've covered brown. Yeah, I don't care. It's gonna have to be like that for a sec. I need to get a magnifier on it just to get close enough, or do it offline. Just a bit of tidying up offline, probably. You can get a bit up close and personal with the model. What the heck is that? Big helicopter going overhead. Don't know if you can hear that on stream. Jeez. Yeah, so I want to try and at least get base color on everything on this. And then next week it'll be about making those details pop, making sure that the model actually looks the part. Because a very basic paint job is not going to make me happy. I've done his armbands. Have I done both of them? No, I haven't. Oh, your finger stuck. And there's a splodge of paint on the bow. I missed. Oh, there's a big bit of red missing there. It's not annoying me at all. So I haven't got it down here, but I use brush soap. So in between colours, I'm just using water. Got 2 vats of water, one for dirty, one which is a bit cleaner, and then I use when I'm actually cleaning them properly, I use brush soap. When they're done, I stand them up on. You can't see this is just out of frame, but I have this ugly thing here that the brushes sit on. So they stand up, so you don't get build up of fluid in the brush itself, because that kills brushes pretty quickly. And if we spend, I've got some natural hair brushes that I use for the most part. I don't want to spend that money and then have to replace my brushes every 5 minutes because I've been too lazy to clean them. Don't get me wrong, I am lazy, but there are limits. Yeah, that works. I mean, most software engineers are lazy by trade. We don't want to do those things manually, so we automate it. Well, this actually for a D&D campaign with my co-workers at work, which could be kind of cool. So that'll break up some of the lunch breaks we have. I think we're talking about doing it on Thursday lunchtime, which is awesome. Get to do some gaming at work. I could have gone over the lines a little bit, but I'm just trying to get some colour on. Trying not to be too worried if I go over the lines, because we can correct that. I don't know what the colours were that I've used. We don't have to worry too much. I think I've missed one of those on the leg. When you've got brown on brown, it is not easy to see. Hopefully that also means it's hard to see the mistakes. Nice. That's that brown done. I'm going to use the lighter brown for the straps and for his hairband. But I need 2 hair, which I'm just going to use some Abaddon if I've got any. Maybe I won't use Abaddon then. So no clue where that is. I will use this black because it's in front of me. And I don't want to get one of those pots out and spill it all over my graphics template. That would be a disaster. I do like dropper bottles, but yeah, it's, you can see sometimes if you haven't shaken it up enough, and it feels like I'm still wasting paint. Not quite as much as you waste with the Citadels, but it's still a waste. And so this will be a very black hair. That's okay. We want black hair, and we will add some tint to it with a dry brush. Okay. Silver or gold first? What do you think? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I'll go for silver first then. I saw somewhere where I'd missed the red, so I'm just trying to find where that was. Of course, I can't find it now. I'm sure it was in the inside of one of the arms. Why can't I see it? Am I blind? Probably. There's a bit missing there. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to stop the palette from sliding down at the same time. Definitely going to have to print myself something that keeps all of this in place. Yeah, so that's a little bit there. Touch there. Needs to go back over, I think. Tiny little bits where you can see the white. I mean, using browns and reds. The light grey that I've used as the spray shows up very vividly. It's the crossguard that I thought was skin. It actually isn't. So we should be good there. Let's get some silver on the go then. Rusty old lead bell chap. Ugh. Trusty and crusty in this case. I think good brushes are worth the investment. It's just you really have to look after them if you do invest in them. You don't want to spend that small fortune on brushes and then ruin them. Yeah, it definitely depends for sure. It depends on your budget. It depends on what you're trying to do with them, your experience. If you're new to painting, don't go getting the most expensive brush you can find. You might find that it doesn't work for you. Or that you destroy it in the first use. There's an annoying lump on the sword there. So whether we can be bothered to sand that down and fix it, or whether it'll just be like that forever. And getting some silver on that. Silver on the hilts. It looks like, oh, that should be wood. Yeah. Shouldn't have looked at my reference material. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'll make that wood. It's fine. Crossguard. I stop breathing for a moment to try and paint the bit that looks like I'm gonna go for his fingers. Yeah. There's almost apprehension when you're using fancy brushes, honestly. Don't want to ruin the brush. Don't want to ruin the brush. No, I've ruined the brush. That's why I make sure I've got brush soap with me, that I try to get them back to this point. If you condition your brush after you, so I clean the brush, use the brush soap to clean the brush, then afterwards I roll the brush in the soap, dragging it along in the direction of brush travel to try and get it back to a point. So when it's in rest, when it's in my pot waiting to be used again, it's good to go and it should be in good condition. It's not always the case. I have destroyed many a brush, but try to look after them. Did I use brown? So that's the leather brown. That's the other one, which was mahogany. Not that disgusting colour. Was it saddle? I think it was whole red. I can't find it. That's because it's fallen over. That was whole red. What was... Yeah, one of these. Beastly and orange brown. You can see, used quite a few colours here. Didn't need to use all these colours, but it's fine. I'm having fun. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have fun when you're painting, you've won. If you find it stressful, do something else. Give yourself a break. Artwork should never be stressful. Says man that holds his breath when he's trying to paint wooden pieces on a crossguard. Yeah, if you aren't enjoying yourself, then you're doing something wrong. Try to just relax a little bit. I definitely think with any artistic endeavour, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. That if you're enjoying yourself and you like what you see, then you've done a good job. Okay. Oops. I did go over the skin, so I will have to go over that again. But I find that you do that a lot. That you're painting a mini, you go back over old ground that you've messed up on, and you go back and forth until it's right. It's just the process. Some people probably get it perfect first time, and that's okay too. I'm not one of those people. I don't think there are many that are. So skin tone was this. What's this? Which is dark green flat. And this is the one that came out like water earlier. Came out a little bit better now. Shaken up a bit more. Mix, so it's looking about that. Yeah. Same problem when you do a mix that you've got to try and get that blend again. Which sometimes it's good to keep your palette. Like if you do have a dry palette like this, just keep your palette around for the next time you paint, so you can work out what the mix was. I tend to try and take a photo of the paints that I've used, so I at least am helping myself to understand what paints I've used. But yeah, it makes it easier then to work out the blend as well. Okay. Oh, good night, mate. Thanks for joining me on the stream. I'm not going to do much more, to be honest, because it's quite late now. But I'm going to try and get the silver on, the gold on, and then I'll do the kind of detail work next week. Thanks for joining me on stream. Have a good day off tomorrow. It's probably quite late for you too, Kaylin. Took me a while to get the system set up to stream. It's having problems with my camera, which is why I've got such a rubbish camera position for painting. Because really, model wants to be here, or camera wants to be closer to where I'm painting, but it is what it is for today. Right, so I've done the... Oh, I've got to do the things. Shoulder pads, whatever they're called. Get rid of some of that water. Get some lead boucher on. Let's go. There's a little bit more silver I'll have to do after this. Reason being that I've got buckles for the belts, studs and things to deal with. This character has quite a lot of detail on him. But for now, just blocking out the colour. Rotho in the right direction because you see him in all his glory. I can't even see his fangs right now on this model. But yeah, they're there. This is the exact same pose. I do like Hero Forge and the fact that you can 3D, design your models, 3D print them, and then paint them. And you've got a guide. It's amazing. It's a shame that Steve's D&D group kind of didn't go any further, but yeah, hopefully we can get that going again. Okay then. Dragon was supposed to be joining me on Discord, but didn't. Naughty boy. Starting to look better. There's a billion and one things I've got to add to the details, but cool. Silver done. Get some gold on there, and then go for the Victorian gold from Scale Colour. This is a very bold gold, boldy gold. It's great. Love this colour. Probably my favourite colour from their range. But I've also got this polished gold from Game Colour, which is a Vallejo paint, and that is what I was going to use to just do some edge highlighting on the gold. Not going to be doing that today. We've run out of time. But I will try and do that on stream next week. Such a beautiful, satisfying colour to put on. This makes painting worth doing. It's a lovely colour. The coverage is good. The colour is amazing. It goes on smoothly. You can go on my thumb like every other colour I have. Oh, look at that. It flows so well. Yeah, people recommend scale colour golds, metallics in general, actually. And initially I was like, they're okay, but I'm not sure what all the fuss is about. And then I came across this colour and it was worlds better than anything else I've used. And then when you polish the edges of that, it just brings out the colour so much. Oh, says man who drops mini on paint palette. Okay, I missed some silver. I'm fussed about me missing silver. I mean, there's lots of bits missed on this model. That's okay. We'll go back over these. Try and do that before the next stream so we can do some detail work, because that's what we want to see. That's where the money is. Not the money shot. I'm sure I used that phrase correctly. Oh, I am definitely a thief. I like painting gold. Okay. Nice. Pot of gold painted. Need to get some more leady on my brush, which I have not noticed is dry. This lead powder dries out so quickly. I don't get it. My scale colour still flowing nicely. Lead Belcher dry. Still like the colour, and I'm using it because I'm trying to use up my old citadels. But yeah, annoying that it dries out so quickly. So I missed the 2 supposedly silver shoulder pads. So let's get some paint on those. What calling it, am I? The other one is here. Okay. Just going over the Victorian gold because I had 2 colours on my palette, and I get the feeling I only painted part of it in metallic. Covered. Nice. Yeah, that's looking metallic. I just saw like one side was clearly not shiny. I was trying to work out why. It's because I based it in the wrong colour, but hey, there we go. Cool. So a bit more conch. Cork brown, sorry. That's just to go over the lip of the paint. The words. Oh, yeah. The lip of the money bag. Nice. I am happy with progress. Slow progress. We used a lot of colours here. Let's just recap the colours that we've gone through. So I was mostly painting with my 8404 size 1 Raphael brush. Boop. I did briefly use. Oh, when I should put that, break the brush. That's a good start. I need to clean that. I did briefly use my Fenrir size 7, which is in not good nick because, I don't know, I'll clean that up. But yeah, big brush, only used that really to get paint out. And I also used my very old now Raphael 8404 size 3. And that again was mostly just to get paint out from the Citadel pots because they suck. In terms of paint use, I used Cavalry Brown for the leather, Flat Red for his jerkin, a mixture of lime green and Park Flat Green for his skin, black for the hair, Victorian gold for the gold, lead boucher for the silver, mahogany for the woodwork, coal red for the trousers, leather trousers, brown for the bag, and I used orange brown for the wood for the bow and for the wooden parts, the handle of the sword. They're not exact matches for what we see on our model here, but it's close enough for now. We're going to do some more work next week on trying to age some of the metallics, trying to give him a bit more detail on his face. We're also going to start using some shades. So I've not done any of that work. All I've done so far, as you see on the model so far, is we've just had the base colors on there. But he's no longer a grey model. So we've made some progress. Slow progress, but then I'm a slow painter. And I've used about a bazillion colors, as you just heard me list off. So join me on next week's stream as we go through that in a bit more detail. Cool. Thanks for joining, and adios.